I am excited today. A friend of mine is a first time author. His name is Baraza Namunyu, and he's written a book known as Rising from the Ashes. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Moirore. At Now Tell Us, we get to have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us, they come and educate us on a subject, and always we are having great guests. And our guest today is a dear friend of mine. I've known him for many years. And this is where the excitement comes from. If you have a friend who's been there for so many years with you, and then he does something important, something great, something phenomenal like this book, you've got a reason to be excited. And so I'm not going to take one more minute because I need Baraza here as soon as possible to tell us about rising from the ashes. She's talking about three ladies, three women, and we're going to find out who are these three women and why did he choose to write about them. So please join me as we go and meet Baraza. Remember to share this episode with all your friends. If you have a comment, please, we love feedback. Subscribe to our channel. Questions are welcome. We try to answer them as much as we can. And now join me as we go to meet Baraza. Here we go. Hello, Baraza.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, welcome to Now Tell Us.
Thank you very much. The honor is mine.
Yeah, we are delighted and excited to have you here at Now Tell Us. And I've
Yes,
known
it's
you for many. I've known you for many years. Maybe how many years have we known each other?
uh, let's go as far back as 1991.
1991. Yeah, those are over
Yes,
30
that's how long it's
years.
been.
Uh-huh.
Of
Yeah, and it's
unbroken friendship.
yes, and it's from when I first knew you, I saw a great guy, and maybe we can bring to light someone who's listening here for the very first time. That was in high school when we joined
Yes,
the first the first year of high school, and
yes,
Baraza came in and he shone so bright. Now, and I'm going to tell them what you did that left me and everyone else in the school ex- surprised or maybe excited. Baraza comes in
yeah,
high school, first year, and he becomes the head of a very big department, the music department. Imagine there have been people who have been there 4 years, and one first former takes over control of a music department.
last year.
That was
Last
great.
year in high
That
school.
was great, Baraza.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even myself, I did not see it coming. It
Uh-huh.
was just one of those that you always walk prepared, but you don't really see them coming.
Yeah. It was great, and yeah, and one of the things that I've seen about you over the years, and even back then, is the discipline that you have. You're a great disciplined man. But maybe that's gonna come in the details when we give you the opportunity to please tell us a bit about yourself. Who is
Yes,
Baraza Jai Namunyu?
yes.
Go ahead, tell us who is
Yeah.
Baraza.
So for those who follow me on my social media, don't be confused because I use my social handles are usually Balozi Baraza,
Mm-hmm.
and my author title goes under Baraza J Namunyu, which mirrors my birth names. So
Mm-hmm.
after consulting here and there, I think I'm going to find a way to kind of bring them together so that I operate under one identity, so that I don't have fans from everywhere confused who's this and who's that. But yes, as you have said, brother Anthony, my names are my natural names were John, Baraza, Namunyu. So I was born in Kenya a couple of decades ago, and I was brought up. I was born in a village. I was born to a family, a couple who has become pastors or Salvation Army pastors or Salvation Army officers. So soon after I was born, it was not long before they went into training college. I tell people this and they laugh. I was born without a birth certificate. My birth certificate followed about 3 years later. So
how is that?
I was asking my mom a couple of years back, how is it that I was born and then there was no birth certificate at my time of birth? Because even when it eventually came out, I was registered under the city in which they were living, not the city I was born in. So what she explained was that during those days, bureaucracy was very difficult, but at the same time, birth certificates, nobody paid too much attention to birth certificates. People started looking for birth certificates when they were grown-ups. Sometimes we even started looking for for birth certificates when somebody has just died, because you needed a birth certificate to register a death certificate.
Interesting.
So that's how it worked. That's the Kenya it was in those years, the 70s and the 80s. So when eventually, because they were moving around a lot because of the work with the ministry in the church. So when we got to a town called Machakos, which is not very far from Nairobi, when things settled down a little bit, that's when they started making sure that all of us who were alive at the time, the kids, made sure that they sorted out our birth certificates to avoid complications in the future. So I believe I got my birth certificate. I have a younger sister who's 2 years younger than myself. Her name is Rebecca. Currently, she's settled in Canada.
Okay.
But we got our birth certificate at the same time. Yeah. So but my name, we were not registered on the same birth. Otherwise, thankfully, otherwise we would be twins.
Okay.
Yes.
Means on the papers.
Yes. So everything was backdated, but the birth certificate came late. And in my generation, children in my with that generation of mine, it was a very common occurrence that sometimes the paper is missing. Maybe because you had to be registered at the chief's office.
Yeah.
So you go to the chief's office and the chief does not have paper. What are you going to do? And it has to be ordered from Nairobi.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the order to come through.
We get it.
And yes, and your parents cannot wait because they have to move about and things like that. So that kind of domino effect. But eventually we got there. I got my birth certificate. My name was officially registered. I was officially recognized as a citizen of the country.
Your official birth name?
Yes.
Is
John Baraza Namunyu.
John Baraza Namunyu. Okay.
Yes, that is my official birth name.
And where does Balozi come in? Because your social profile is Balozi.
Yes, so Balozi is just a very recent tag that I think it was more of it chose me rather than I chose it. In the sense that since coming to the UK, and especially after, let's say just during the COVID period when things were really tough everywhere, and especially in Kenya, and of course I live in the UK, and of course lockdown came and we were stuck in our houses for a couple of months. I kept in touch. I was keeping in touch, maybe through YouTube, Facebook, and things like that, on how things were going on, because I'm really concerned about my country of birth, and I try to help communities as best as I can. In fact, it was during the COVID. I don't think I've shared this widely, but it was during the COVID period that I actually helped my the church where my parents are retired now as we speak.
Okay.
So the town that they had settled in Kitale,
Mm-hmm.
they were really struggling because they needed to finish the building, the church building they had started.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, with COVID, everything came to a standstill, and everything was just a struggle.
Mm.
So it was during this COVID period that everything had gone quiet. Thankfully, construction was still going on. Construction was not affected very much by lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So it was during that period that I found ways and means of helping them to finish the main structure of the church building.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from that, I was also trying to bring people together in different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that during COVID, WhatsApp was a very good platform to use because it gave me the flexibility to
Mm-hmm.
network with as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, I got to meet so many people. I got to meet a lot of real estate companies which needed exposure in the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that, I'll do it out of love rather than for money. So
Mm-hmm.
I connected, a lot of these companies with the people in the diaspora, and
Mm-hmm.
people who needed information. They needed to understand, what they're buying into.
Mm-hmm.
So I would create all these different connections, between the clients, between the sellers, and also connect them also to professionals who kind of help to break down
Mm-hmm.
the or break down the unknown, so that
Mm-hmm.
now by the time the client makes a decision, it is more of an informed decision rather than out of impulse.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, real estate property, that is a very serious decision to make. People make, they set aside life savings to do that. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have a way of looking at this, you want them to be in a frame of mind where they're making very sound decisions with the kind of money that
Yeah.
they're going to be spending on these things. But at the same time, also,
Mm-hmm.
you want the sellers, as much as they want to market furiously, because they really want to get, get as many customers as possible, but also
Mm-hmm.
get the sellers also to understand the kind of client they're dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
because the clients in the diaspora are not necessarily clients back in Kenya. So the
Yeah.
psychology is somehow different. So
Mm-hmm.
then if you're dealing with people in the diaspora, for example, you need to slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be over aggressive the way you would be
Yeah.
on the ground in Kenya. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these people, before they came into this space, they did not know that. They just thought that, if we just market, we just go,
Mm-hmm.
it's a hunting ground. But
Yeah.
we had to kind of regulate that space so that now they slow down enough for people in the diaspora to begin to understand, okay, this is what you are selling, this is why you're selling it, this is, what about the process, the title deeds,
Mm-hmm.
all this. And because Kenya also was now entering the digital space, it was making things so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, because of those activities, and I was doing them without, without any other objective
Yeah.
other than to just bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody somewhere noticed, what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they saw me as an ambassador of some sort.
Okay.
So in that ambassadorial spirit, the name Balozi came up.
Mm-hmm.
It was coming up quite frequently, and then it was not until the CEO of Optiven,
Mm.
real estate company.
Mm-hmm.
I think for those of you who do not know Optiven, I think it is one of the leading real estate companies in Kenya.
Yeah.
And the CEO happens to be, now he's a friend of mine. His name is George Washuri George.
Mm-hmm.
an established author. He's a very, very ethical businessman. He's very good in with young people. He has several mentorship programs. So when somehow one of his deputies linked him with me, and we started working together on publicizing and things like that. So the more terminology Balozi, the more other people just got onto it, and then it just became a household name. So that's how I adopted it, and I changed all my tags to
Baraza. It's wonderful, and I can attest to that you're really doing ambassadorial jobs.
Yes.
And I would call you a destiny connector, because having watched you over that period, and as you keep doing every day, connecting people with one another, that's a blessing. It's not everyone who has such a gift, and it's a very wonderful gift. You
Yeah,
see,
you're not the only one, because just before I relocated to the UK in 2006, my mother wanted me to know why she gave me the name Baraza. So other than the fact that I was born on a Monday morning, when the elders of the village normally meet, because every village has its own routine.
Yeah.
And the village I came from, normally the wazir or the elders would hold a meeting to just discuss affairs within the what's going on with the village, what's going on in the region, what's happening, what are the problems, what are the disputes that need to be sorted, and things like that. And then while they were in the middle of that, a cry comes from one of the houses, a very, very sharp cry of a little boy that had just, and that happened to be me. So, out of that, on a day when the meeting, that's how I got my name Baraza. But then over the years, I think by the UK now, I was a grown up, of course. I had achieved from being the band master that I was. I was also a leader in my local church for many, many years. And all these things, unbeknown to me, my mother was observing all this, and she was just, remember the way Mary was watching Jesus and keeping all these things in her heart. So
yeah,
my mother told me that she is very, very grateful that she gave me that name, because I have lived up to it. All through my life, I have been bringing people together, but I have not known it. It was just something that I don't think twice about. Even today, if I feel that so and so can work together, I'll just find ways of getting through to each one of them, and I'll find a way of bringing them together. Now, let me give you a very good example. As we speak, I live in Liverpool, up north, near the North County.
Okay.
Way up north, in the northwest. But the last time I stepped foot in southwest London was many years ago when I was a child. But just about 3 weeks, actually it was last week, there's been a big outcry from Kenyans in southwest London that they do not have an active community group like others do. Because as we know, in the UK and many other parts of Europe, people tend to be isolated. Opportunities to gather meaningfully. We're not talking about social gatherings in the bars and things like that. Just meet meaningfully and carry out meaningful activities like community building, families coming together, investments and workshops and training and of that sort. They've not had that. In fact, there's a guy who told me that he's lived there for 40 years and he's never seen anything of that kind. And they've been just wondering, why not there? Why are they not having that? So for me, I just took it as a challenge. I said, okay, I'm 300 miles away up north.
Yeah.
But thank God, because of the connectivity with the internet and the skills that I have been given so far to bring people, why don't I put them together and see if this is going to bring something about or not? So I started playing around with WhatsApp and Facebook, bashing about a few contacts here and there. And thankfully, as we speak, I'm hoping that by Christmas we shall have a community running. We shall have a community of people actually gathering and meeting and having physical meetings, planning their own meetings, planning outings, planning get-togethers, planning barbecues and things like that. Something which they have not had. Some of them have been there for 20 years. They've never been able to do that because they've not had a central figure that brings them together. But I identified one of there's a young lady I have identified who now I am working one-on-one. She confessed to me that she's petrified. She's really scared, but she's willing because she wants to see change. So for me, that was more. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. As long as you have somebody who's willing to be led, somebody who's willing to give their best, somebody who's willing to give their time and their energy, then that's how you build a community. And then shortly after that, she was joined by somebody else who is much older. He's an older guy. And he's the one I'm talking about, has been there for 40 years. And he also felt the same. He said that it's time we change the narrative. It's time to change the narrative for Kenyans in the southwest of London. Let us do something about it. Because in the east, funny enough, in the southeast London has so many Kenyan groups. And a lot of them have gone to form investment groups. A lot of them have gone to form companies. A lot of them have done so many amazing things. In the north of London, you find the same thing. In the Midlands, maybe Birmingham, Bristol, you have a lot of Kenyan groups happening. But for whatever reason, the southwest of London has kind of now fallen behind. And that's where the opportunity came, let's work with what we have. Let's do what we can with what available on the ground. And people are beginning to support this because now I'm kind of bringing allies that I know in the southwest of London, in the north of London, and in other parts of the UK. I even have friends who are willing to help. We have Zoom meetings. We have these electronic assistance that we have available to now. Hopefully we're going to start building a new generation of leaders in southwest London who can now build the community there as they wish, because at the end of the day it is their community and they need to define it according to what needs they have among themselves.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. This is really Balozi, otherwise the ambassador.
Yes. Yes.
Now, today I'm very excited for one reason, and I talked about it at the beginning of the episode. You've written a book, and this book is talking about three ladies, again, connecting people. This is Balozi. Now, who are these three ladies? And tell us about this book, please.
Actually, if I can make a confession here, the book came more like an accident.
How?
Because I've been working on a book that it's more like a biography on one of the ladies. I've been working with her for the last kind of 2-3 years, putting things together. So actually, that was the book that should have been published first. But what had happened was that ever since COVID, I have had the opportunity and the blessing to work with each of these three ladies on 3 different occasions.
Okay.
But then I realized that in the process of working with them, they were also connected to one another one way or another. So basically, how I came to kind of find myself in that space was back again to COVID years when we were in lockdowns. Now, for me, I'm a very active person when I'm out there. Now it's lockdown, can't go anywhere. So my only relief is watching YouTube. So in the process of watching YouTube, I come across this lovely young woman. Her name is Lynn Ngugi. So I know nothing I don't know much about her. She, in fact, is not even aware I exist. But you know, in the same spirit, I just felt that there was something about this young woman that we need. That there was something about her, but I could not explain it. So after watching a couple of episodes, there was one particular episode that she did which really moved me, and I felt now maybe I just reach out and see. I mean, she can reject. The worst that can happen is somebody says no. So I reached out through the YouTube comments. I left my email there, and that's one way of, like, now Gideon testing, you know, putting the fleece out there.
Yeah.
So I say to myself, I'll leave my comment there. I'll leave my email there. If she responds, then I know this is meant to be.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, she sent me an email confirming that she has received my comment, and she's happy to make contact.
Yeah.
So I basically told her why initially I justified why I established contact. And one of the reasons I had established contact was that seeing her brand of journalism is something I had never seen before. You know, the way she does her talk shows, it reminded me a lot of Oprah Winfrey. And I felt that we've never really had anything of that. So we've had very good presenters in the past. You know, we've had very good news in the past. Like Catherine Kasavuli, you know her, you know Beatrice Marshall, you know, we've had legends.
Yeah.
But Lynn Ngugi, there was something very different about her. It was not just about the skill of presentation. It is about, there's a certain spirit behind her, which I felt was calling her to greater heights. So I randomly just asked her, you know, if she would be happy to come out in the diaspora and do what she does. What she's doing in Kenya. I think she has a very huge. At the time she was working for a media company called Tuko, and looking at the following she had in the diaspora was huge. And so my thinking was that as soon as COVID is finished, well, how about we found ways of making, of helping or making it possible for Lynn Ngugi to come out in the diaspora and enrich her library, and of course diversify her work with the diaspora. People in the diaspora want to tell their stories. They don't just want to be listening to stories, inspiring stories. You know, they also want to share their stories. But how do we create that bridge that makes it possible for that to happen? Lynn and myself were talking for a couple of for about 2 months, you know, but we were not getting anywhere. So something else came to me. I had heard about this woman called fantastic woman called Lydia Tett Olet. Because I've seen what she does with Kenya and Friends in the Park. I've seen her work in other spaces. And just like Lynn, I reached out randomly and I said to her, look, I'm trying to work on this project, and I feel that I need as much help as I can. This is the vision I have, but I do not have the. But I feel that with your platform, maybe we can work something out. The response I got from Lydia was not what I expected, because Lydia eventually told me that actually she is short of words, because this Lynn is who she has been looking for a very long time. She's been trying to get her contact. She's not been able to. She's been trying to get in touch, because at that point in time when I was contacting Lydia, Lydia also had her own show, and she was hoping that she could bring Lynn onto her show to interview her about her work. So that's how the two ladies came together.
Wow.
So
again, Balozi.
Yes, after a couple of meetings. After a couple of meetings, the two actually developed a very strong bond. And I got to a point where I felt that if I overstayed my welcome, then of course things become a bit uncomfortable, because you become the spare wheel.
Yeah.
So I allowed them to get on with what they needed to do, because I felt called somewhere else to do other things.
Okay.
So it was in that process that the two of them continued working together. Even by the time Lynn had left Tuco and worked independently, Lydia had already prepared the groundwork, and Lynn was able to make a tour in 2000 and last year, actually 2022.
Okay.
Lynn was able to make her first UK tour, and it was a resounding success. It was better than we had imagined, because initially we had thought she would just be based in London.
Okay.
But I think sometimes looking at there's a clip that you sent just the other day, talking about looking at problems a different way. What you could be seeing as a problem could be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So what looked like COVID actually was a big blessing in disguise, because it is what opened the big doors that Lynn Ngugi needed to travel the UK. She was able to travel to Wales. She was able to travel to different places whereas if she had come under normal circumstances, she might just have been confined to Kenya and Friends in the Park and London only.
Okay.
So that opened very, very big doors and possibilities for the future.
Wow. That's a
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful one. And we have viewers who are watching us from all over the world. I have someone here known as Lydia.
Yes.
Lydia Lanz, and she says that's very impressive, Mr. Baraza. We have to be the change we want to see through boldly starting initiatives like yours. Kudos.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I'm really honored to hear that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lydia, and everyone else who's watching. We appreciate your presence here, and we love your feedback. Yes, we keep going. So we've got Lynn, and then we've got Lydia, and then we've got a third lady. Bring her into the picture.
The third lady. One
Yeah.
I've told so many times. She's the crown in the jewel. You know, she came in last, but she's the one that actually completed the picture for me.
Okay.
So what had happened was, of course, after while Lynn and Lydia, it just happened that because apart from the Kenya and Friends in the Park outfit that Lydia has been running successfully for the last 10 years, and it's growing bigger and bigger every year. Anyway. Apart from that, she also runs a magazine, Karibu Kenyans in the UK magazine. I'm sure you're aware of it.
Okay.
I think we featured you last year. We were meant to feature you last year. We missed out for some reason, but this year you're well in it.
Okay.
So the magazine, early last year, around April, I think February, Lydia reached out to me and said that she half her editorial. A lot of people were leaving. Some were relocating back to Kenya. Others were looking for other opportunities in life, and they would be occupied, so they would not really have time to run the magazine the way it was running. So she needed a hand, and if there was one way I could help, because for some reason people think my up there. I do not understand why.
It is.
But
it is.
Yeah. So and I will tell you why I'm surprised. Because I've been working as a taxi driver, as a side hustle for some time. I don't do it as much nowadays, but just to kind of bring in the bills and top up, make ends meet. I've been side hustling as a taxi driver. And of course, as a taxi driver, you have to talk to your customers. You can't be an introvert. You know, even if you are, you have to force yourself to be social and to be flexible.
That's true.
So in the process, I don't like using my voice very much, except for when I need to. But
Mm-hmm.
in those particular circumstances, you have to talk to people. So it is the process of talking to people that even these locals, they're saying, your English is not, it doesn't sound African. Where really are you from? I said,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm from Kenya. I was born and brought up in Kenya. I came to the UK 17 years ago. And yeah, but your English is very different. Your English is even better than ours. Where did you learn that from?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that is what Lydia had in mind. She felt that, my English skills would be something that she could use as an asset in her
Mm-hmm.
magazine. And of course, I felt that that was a very good opportunity also to reach out to more people.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about helping out with the magazine, but also using that magazine also becomes a platform and a vehicle for me as an individual
Mm-hmm.
to reach more people with my message and with my work and with whatever it is that I'm allowed to work within that space.
Yeah.
So while I was when I was when that bit, the editing bit of the magazine was handed to me,
Mm-hmm.
so I make the decisions how they bring in and what to do and everything. Then in the process, it's when Lydia suggested to me that there's this lady who does fantastic work, and her name is Njeri
Mm-hmm.
or Migwi. Would you do a story about her? Now, at that time,
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea who Njeri is. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what she does, so I have to do research. So it's me back in the archives on the internet doing all kinds of research, and that's a point where I realized it is true when they say that when you write about a person, you get to know more about them sometimes than even they know about themselves. Because I come up with all kinds of data that I could put together reliably, and then I came up with this picture, and that article actually appeared in last year's magazine. If at some point I might share the link on my profile or somewhere else. There's a website where you can actually go and see all the previous editions of that
Mm-hmm.
Karibu Kenyan in the UK magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So and the story was well received. Actually, more people got to know about who Njeri is. She is the
Mm-hmm.
founder of an organization that is anti-gender-based violence. It fights against gender-based violence in Kenya,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and the organization is a community-based organization called Usikimye. So
Mm-hmm.
Usikimye basically means do not be quiet, do not be silent.
Mm-hmm.
And what has happened is what she discovered was that for so many years, she has been a victim of gender-based violence herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows that one of the crippling things that victims go through is either they become silent
Mm-hmm.
themselves or they are silenced by the
Okay.
aggressors. So that's how she came up with the name that no more
Mm-hmm.
silence. Do not be
Mm-hmm.
silent. You have to speak out. As a nation, we have to speak out as community, and victims need to learn, or they need to be empowered to speak out, because we are not going to be silent about that issue anymore. So for me, that really struck a chord. I still had not made any contact with her, but I was following her work. Now I was more interested in what she's doing, the kind of
Mm-hmm.
international contacts that she's making, and the kind of impact she's having around Africa, because she
Mm-hmm.
travels a bit around Africa, and
Mm-hmm.
you can see the footprint she's leaving wherever
Mm-hmm.
she's been is
Mm-hmm.
quite significant. So it was only this year now. We're coming down to how the book came about.
Yeah.
So it was this year that because I know we Lydia to bring Lynn. So this year,
Mm-hmm.
as we were working, something was kind of making me unsettled. The more I was thinking about, the more I was thinking something is missing, and I do not know what it is. Then Lydia on her Facebook posted a picture of the three of them, that picture that you can see on the cover page,
Yeah.
of three of them posing together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the more I looked at, I said, now I have a connection with all these three ladies, but I want to understand what is the connection there.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I had to go back and start watching Lynn's Anywhere that Lynn Ngugi has been interviewed, I watched all the programs. I was looking for that missing link. Anywhere, everywhere that Lydia Tett Olet has been interviewed, I went and watched all the programs. Everywhere
Wow.
that Njeri has been interviewed, I went and watched every episode, looking for that link.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was processing it during the Kenya and Friends at the Park event. While I was doing my activities, I reflect and I was trying to find, what is the connection there.
Okay.
Then it hit me. I realized each of these three ladies, number one, they had reached a point where they lost everything. But each of them, whether they knew each other at that point or not, they fought back. And the reason we know them as they are today is because they fought back and they rose from the ashes.
Wow. Rising from
And
the
that's
ashes.
where rising from the ashes came from.
Wow. This is beautiful, and thank you very much, Baraza, for sharing with us this. Now I'm asking.
Yes,
Now this
yes,
episode is meant actually to have ended, but then we can't get enough of what. So we've just had the introduction of this book, which I'm asking every one of the viewers or listeners to go and get. It's available on Amazon.
yes,
The link is in the
yes,
description. You can just click on the link and
yes,
order your book. Like I have ordered mine. I have mine, and oh, I'm feeling it this way, John and
yes,
Baraza in this case, Balozi. You have many names.
yes.
You're gonna know how to bring them all together at some point.
Oh, now, at this point, I have to find a way. Yes,
Yeah. So this is what I'm thinking. So the book has been introduced to us by Baraza. Beautiful
yes,
cover, beautiful stories of beautiful ladies, three ladies in one, and considering that this episode is supposed to be over, that means that we should have a second episode for us to know some of the lessons. But because as Baraza is writing this book, he shares several lessons that we learn from these ladies. And therefore, why don't we have you sometime back on this episode to tell us more about the lessons, even as other people are going to read it and come and share with us what they've got from the book.
absolutely, absolutely. It would be an honor.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very, very much, Baraza, for coming to now tell us today. We really
Thank you
appreciate.
for having me. Yes, thank you
Yes,
so much.
and wonderfully introducing your book, Rising from the
From the
Ashes.
ashes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this has been now tell us, before we go, just tell us a few words that we should remember from this episode.
Yeah, I think it's just to capture what one of your Lydia had said that we can only become the change that we want, and change does not come by sitting on the fence, and change does not come by standing still. Change
Mm.
comes through motion, and
Mm.
sometimes you have to take that step of faith. Like coincidentally, the lady I'm working with in Southwest London also is called Lydia,
Mm.
and one of
Have
the
something
things
with
that
Lydia. The
yeah, and
Lydia that is covered here, the Lydia commenting, the Lydia you're working with, we're gonna meet a lot of Lydias.
yeah, and actually, the lady who taught me how to play the euphonium in the brass band was called Lydia.
Whoa. Okay, okay,
She was my mentor for many years.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. We can only become the change that we want.
Mm.
Change does not come by standing still.
Mm.
Change does not come by sitting in the fence, and change does
Mm.
not come by being comfortable. And sometimes we have to be prepared to be misunderstood
Mm.
for change to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the things that I had to learn the hard way,
Mm.
because sometimes you want both. You want change, but at the same time you want a comfort zone.
Mm.
And there'll be times in life where you just have to choose one.
Okay.
Yes.
You heard that, all our viewers or our listeners. There's gonna come that time when you've got to choose between the two, either change or comfort. What do you choose? Take that from Baraza Balozi.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, it's been a wonderful time having you on our show. We really appreciate and we look forward to having you another time someday soon.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
continue with this wonderful sharing.
Yes.
So this has been Now
Absolute
Tell
honor.
Us.
And thank you for having
Yes,
me.
yes, we really appreciate you coming. This has been
Thank
Now
you.
Tell Us. I've been your host, Anthony Mwerore, and together with our guest today, Balozi Baraza Namunyu, we are saying, yeah, keep rising, get out of your comfort zone and keep
Yes.
going.
Mm.
Bye for
Yes.
now.
Bye for
Bye.
now. Thank you.